So for assignment two, I chose to look at a comparison between LinkedIn and Slack. And my name is Alex Pecoraro. All right. So basically, for my platform, again, I chose to do Slack and LinkedIn. We're looking at the native mobile applications here. Obviously, you guys can see a little bit, and this will play a factor when we're looking into Slack, but I do have the iOS update with the dark mode going, so that's why my app stores look like this. These are both within the iOS app stores. You can get into Slack and LinkedIn, the native mobile apps, through the App Store. I believe they have Android apps as well, so in the Google Play Store. Also, Slack is web-based, and so is LinkedIn. For the purposes of today, again, I will just be looking up the native mobile applications. All right, so the reason I wanted to do LinkedIn and Slack, I think really the biggest similarity between the two comes into play with the interaction, the swiping left and right to really navigate through each app. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like next. I also think some of their search patterns are very similar in terms of the way that recent searches kind of bottle up to the top. I think where their searches are placed in both the LinkedIn and Slack app, they're near the top navigation. Um, Users have access to their profile options in both Slack and in LinkedIn near the top navigation as well. And then when you're going through some of the main navigation, you do have access to groups, direct messages, and a main feed. So whilst LinkedIn is more of a business related platform, you can do many different things on it. Slack focuses more on the messaging aspect and the teamwork aspect of things. They do have a lot of similarities when it comes to the content that's showed there and how you navigate through that content. All right, so the LinkedIn iOS navigation. So as I said before, LinkedIn does have a swipe navigation. However, they have a couple different types of navigation as well, which is kind of one of my hangups with the app. So you'll see here that you can swipe either left or right. Left gets to your profile, right gets to your messages, and then in the middle, this is the first page you see when you jump into the app. This is the newsfeed. On the newsfeed, you can access your connections, you can add content, you can see alerts, and you can look for jobs. So there's a second level of navigation here. And then near the top, you can also click on a profile to get pulled over into this left-hand navigation that you can also swipe into, or you can click on messages and you follow into this right-hand navigation that you can also swipe into. So really, these are a backup there in case it's not intuitive that you swipe left or right to access these two pieces. A user can still click on these. Um, LinkedIn does kind of a strange thing where they mix an overlay window for profiles, so you can see the overlay coming here and you still get your news feed. However, when you click into messages, it goes into a full screen window, which is another one of the hangups I have with the apps. And then when you're going into the main part of the messaging, it does not indicate an online status like it does in Slack. So when you're looking at some of these messages that are sent directly to you or that you're sending out to someone else, you actually can't see if they're on LinkedIn at that moment in time. So the Slack iOS navigation. Again, Slack uses a left or right swipe navigation. So as you're seeing here, this is kind of the main message thread that you jump into right when you jump into the app. You can either swipe right to get to your profile. That's unique with Slack, where LinkedIn, you swipe left to get to your profile. On right, when you're going in Slack, you swipe right to get to your profile. This little toggle icon represents the profile, so you can also click on this, much like LinkedIn, and have a second way of getting into this type of navigation. And then when you swipe left or click on the Slack icon, you go into this sub-level swipe navigation. So this shows your direct messages, similar to LinkedIn. It shows your workspaces as well, and then it shows kind of your threads or your channels here as well. So, and these also, by clicking on any of these names, you go into this direct message portion as well. So it's, again, that swipe navigation back and forth, but it's kind of like a sub-level navigation here. So really, Slack is very fluid in terms of the left and right navigation. They add a lot of that into here, which is what I really like, and I think it offers a lot of quick navigation, which is unique. So the other unique thing about Slack that I really like is the fact that they have all these overlay menus. So you can see right here, it really indicates where you're at any moment in time. Like I said, we're using sub-level navigation here, so it's important to indicate where that user is at all times. They can easily click right in here to get back into the main feed. And again, when we're looking at profile here, it does this little kind of overlay as well, where you can see that's the main news feed. So yeah, that's kind of what the navigation looks like. And then when you're looking over here, you can set a status by adding to your profile. And then you can also star items, so you can get back into them very quickly, like a bookmark items like we had talked about in class. And this is where you can add your personal status, do not disturb, that sort of thing. So Slack really offers a lot more options when it comes to kind of your profile and an indicator on what your status is, where LinkedIn is really not doing any of that. But again, two different platforms in terms of what they offer. So let's go into search, which is one of the other interaction patterns I wanted to focus on. So basically, both searches, LinkedIn and Slack, have your recent searches come up first, right, when you tap into the search bar, which is really nice. So you can jump back to where you were very quickly. Basically, what LinkedIn allows you to do is you can search through different types of content. You can search for people, jobs, content, companies, and schools, which is really nice. It adds a filter so you can quickly get to what you're looking for instead of searching their entire platform for everything. What LinkedIn does offer is a nice autocomplete as well when you're searching through here. So if you're typing hello, it'll start bringing up options for you. And then you can search content and messages by date, with the newest one being first, which is another pattern we had discussed in class. So that happens when you're searching through content, and that also happens when you're searching through messages here on the right. So Slack. Slack has all their recent searches coming up first as well, which is really nice. You can also search through categories, much like LinkedIn. You can search through messages, or you can search through files, so you can easily get to something. The one problem I have with Slack search is there's no autocomplete. So you have to remember what conversation you had or some keywords to pull up what that message thread was. If you've got a very long message thread with a group, that can be very tedious and hard to get back to where you were initially. What it does really nicely is it does do a text highlight of your search criteria in the results. So you can see a reminder kind of highlighted right here, which is really nice. You can jump to the content you're looking for very quickly. It also offers searching by the newest date first, which is, again, another interaction pattern we talked about with searching. So looking at all of this, I think really the best platform is Slack. I think what's really nice about it is for Buddy List, it marks an online status. Again, it's a messaging platform, and LinkedIn focuses on a lot of different aspects. I mean, it's all business, it's content, it's jobs. So LinkedIn has a lot more to it than Slack, which is just a communication platform. But this Buddy List with online status is really nice feature within Slack, especially because both of them are using messaging. So it can be nice for LinkedIn to have that as well. Slack, it's easier to access bookmarks and things you've flagged. LinkedIn, it's much harder to get to some of that. I think Slack offers a lot. The navigation is way faster than LinkedIn. You're just swiping left and right the entire time, where LinkedIn, you're having to click on icons sometimes, you're having to click on a profile button, sometimes you're swiping. It's really hard for a first-time user to kind of understand all of these interaction patterns within the navigation. I think Slack offers those 3/4 quarter overlay menus to show where the user is at all times. I think LinkedIn, you can kind of get lost in some of the content and the levels within LinkedIn. So it's really nice that Slack shows you where you are at all times. And then I think within the search, that text highlight in the search results to really identify what content you were looking for first really helps with getting content quickly. The one negative I have with Slack is that autocomplete feature, which is missing. Having to remember a conversation thread or a word from a conversation thread, especially if it was weeks ago, can be very difficult to do. And autocomplete lets you get to those results faster. So that's why I really like, or that's what Slack, I think, is missing versus LinkedIn. So yeah, that's kind of all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you listening, and thanks so much.